It's a four-letter word, and it's not kind or love or hope. The word that best describes growing up with an alcoholic parent is shit. And it lingers for years, stalking you into adulthood, smearing itself on the edge of broken promises, making reality hard to grasp, silencing speech, scapegoating smellers. It's shit. The unspoken rules, the sense you get that you're second to a substance because they'd rather booze up than buy you shoes or a basic meal. By the way, best go to bed, they're still at the bottle shop. It's shit. In all the ways you blame yourself, performing through perfection for attention, then swinging to rebellion. Anything to be seen and loved and held, more than a bottle for the beloved you are, and your heart is bleeding. It's shit. And I'm sorry, and I'd love to tell you it doesn't matter, but it does, because you do and always have. And that deep anger and sadness that seeps from your scars are normal, and they exist because you know deep in your love-seated soul that you did nothing to deserve the neglect or the harm or the shame from that parent who may have loved you but failed terribly at loving themselves or parenting themselves with any maturity. It's shit. And I'm sorry, and I'm praying that you keep walking towards the light of healing and wholeness as slowly as you need with guides at your side. My heart is beating like really fast already just because I hate talking about this. I don't think she was always an alcoholic.
She had gotten into a really bad accident and she was pouring gas in a carburetor and the truck had backfired on her, so it caught her whole body on fire. And I remember like we was in Vanderbilt Hospital for months and they really didn't even think she was gonna make it. But once she got out, it was like she was good when it came to her burns and everything. But at the same time, I guess the way she looked at herself just tore every bit of confidence she had. So I think she definitely went more to drinking then.
I never understood why, and I was really confused because, I was a child and it didn't make sense to me how that liquid that she was drinking made her act that way. And then it just kept going after that. I mean, I'm 23 years old now, and she's still drinking till this day. But don't let her hear it that she's a drunk.
My dad is a functioning drunk, so honestly, it's no difference. Well, it is a difference. It depends on what he drinks. So my whole life, I'm 23 years old, all the way up until I was like 21, my dad would drink every day. Then he got diagnosed with throat cancer, so that kind of stopped the drinking. So he would drink every day, but the only time that he was really like crazy with it is if he drunk like brown liquor or moonshine. But he drank beer every single day, Miller Lite. That was his thing. Every day he would start at about, if he didn't work, he would start at about 12 and all day from 12 p.m. all the way until he went to sleep.
A memory that sticks with me while she was intoxicated is probably the times that she would leave me and my sisters alone at home to go out to the club and drink. And she wouldn't come back home till like 5 a.m. And just worrying, like being worried out my mind, hoping and praying that she was okay, and that she was still alive, and not somewhere drunk, passed out, dead.
One day he came home and he was drunk, and I guess I don't know exactly what she said to him, but she said something to him and he picked her up by her throat and slammed her against the wall. And I don't think that he remembered that I was right there, but when he turned around and he seen me, he just dropped her on the ground. And I probably will never forget that. And like the fear in her eyes and like how I was just so shocked that he really, because when he would do it, he would never do it in front of me. I would just have to hear it or I'll see it after the fact, my mom like hurt. But like that was like my first real time seeing him like bold enough to like do it in front of me, and then realizing what he did and trying to be dad of the year and dropping her down. I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to do that.
I started to notice it when I was in middle school, but at that time he was gone with work. Like, he never left my mom or us, but he left us in a sense to say that he needed to provide for us for his job in order for us to survive. But that, in a sense, was his way of getting out.
I would spend the night with him. He would come home drunk. He would bring women home. They would be drunk. It was like a party house, and it was starting to get to the point where it was like, it was too much. So it made me distance myself from him, because it was like, okay, like, you really like don't care. Like, you're not being a dad. You just covering up with like finance. Like, oh, I'm gonna get you this, I'm gonna get you this, but I'm gonna get to do whatever I want to do, and I don't need you to go back and say nothing to nobody. So it was an eye opener, I can say, yeah, for real.
You know, that also her drinking all the time. She wasn't there for award ceremonies. In the moment, it made me sad also, because everybody else was looking for their parents, and I would come in and I wouldn't see my parents, I wouldn't see my mom, I wouldn't see my dad. It was sad, you know, not having her support there at award ceremonies.
That's what people don't understand. When you're growing up with a traumatic house, it affects you how you are as an adult, and people don't really like understand that when they meet you or are around you, because they don't understand like all the stuff that you go through with that. It changes who you are forever unless you get help for it.
Now in my adult life, I'm constantly running after people who are like my dad, who are emotionally unavailable. So that, in return, is what I'm missing from my adolescent years of when I needed him the most. And I'm chasing that in other men when I should have had it from him.
I'm always sober. Like, I never really want to be drunk, never want to do anything like that, because I don't want to, because I have a son, so I don't want to raise my son in that environment, because I know how it feels to look at your parent like that. So I just want to always be sober and present and aware.
I don't like alcohol. I don't really like to turn up and drink, like college-wise. I was never that type of girl to go out and party, because I always felt like that was going to be bad for me. Like, that was going to bring me nothing but bad things. And then it made me feel like I have this fear against men and dudes in general. So like now it's like I have such a fear, because I'm feeling like if a dude is drinking or doing any kind of substance, I'm feeling like you're going to do something to me. Once you off the liquor or you off whatever you're on, I feel like you're going to do something to me. Or I'm always like so cautious around a dude, because even if they're not drunk, is because what I've seen like growing up for so long.
I feel like I've always had to be very careful with the relationships that I have with people, because of the guard that I have because of my mother. And it's also made me have to grow up a lot faster. I blamed her most of my life, and even now, for a lot of the decisions that she made, and for a lot of the situations that she put my siblings and I in, situations that no child should be in, and situations that could have been avoided had she not been wanting to be in the mix and be drinking.
Not really thinking too much about the situations we're in, like who's around us, even though they might be people she know. Like, you don't really always know somebody, and just because you've been around them for so long, like, you drink and people do really dumb stuff. So putting us in certain environments, putting us in certain environments that we shouldn't have been in.
But if she was standing in front of me and I could tell her something, I would probably tell her that,
look at what you've done. Like, look at what you caused. Look at all the trauma that you have caused each one of your kids, and the only thing that you can say for yourself is that you provided for us. And congratulations on that, but like, you wasn't a dad. Like, you wasn't a dad. Like, you brought us so much more trauma than you did love. And I know you love us, but like, you don't know how much you messed us up.
I wish that she would have loved us more.
I would tell him that I loved him and that this thing that he is under control of is not gonna take, it's not gonna be for long. But if he doesn't take control of this thing now, I would hate to see what it's like when I'm trying to have children or a relationship that I want him to be a part of. I always hear my older sister say that she'd be so pissed off if she can't be walked down the aisle by my dad, and I refuse to let that image be in my head about him. Because I'm determined that no matter what, he's gonna be there for my wedding day. And he's gonna be there for my firstborn child, and he's gonna be there for when I get off my first house and my first job. He's definitely gonna be here when I graduate.
Probably just that she's better than this. And there's more to life than just being drunk and miserable.